Well, Happy New Year, everybody. With the new year comes, a couple new things. We got a brand new tent, new wood stove, and a new camping spot in mind for today. So I'm really excited for this video. I'm really excited for 2024. Yeah, let's get into it. Well, it's kind of crazy because up until about a few hours ago, we literally had 0 snow on the ground, which is not the norm for where I live. And some of you guys might have noticed that something's missing from this video. My little buddy, my furry companion, Chester. Unfortunately, he injured his leg on New Year's Day. We went for a walk in the forest by our house. Not exactly sure what he did. He was having issues putting any weight, any pressure on his leg later that day. The good news is, since then it's gotten a lot better. Actually, it seems like it's almost fully healed at this point, but I want to make sure that we let it heal fully before we bring him back out. So I'm pretty hopeful that with a couple more days of rest, he'll get back to 100%, and you guys will see him next video. Right into the mud. This long green stick I'm holding is not a walking stick or anything like that. It's what's known in the ice fishing community as a spud bar. Essentially, it's just a big, long, heavy ice chisel. And if you ask me, it's one of the most important safety tools that you can have on you anytime you walk out on the ice, especially early season. I think it's really important to continue to strike as you walk out. Ice can be so inconsistent, especially with this really warm winter that we've had. And take it from somebody who has fallen through the ice. You don't want to be there. I can talk about that a little bit later, but it's not a very good time. I also want to point out that where I am right now on this lake is no more than 2, maximum 3 feet deep. Regularly, if I was going out on a lake this early in the season, you'd see me with what's called ice picks and a floater suit. So I just want to let you guys know that if I were to break through the ice right now, the worst thing that would happen would be a wet boot. All right, well, now we just have to get all our gear up this rock. Should be fun, right? Pretty decent looking ramp. Ideally, we don't have to unload everything down there, but we might have to. Oh, that's easy. Ugh. And nothing fell off. So all in all, it's a pretty great site. There's a nice big clearing here where we can put the tent. We got a beautiful view right down the lake. Now there's one issue that I see right away with this site, and that being this big old dead tree that sits pretty well right where I'm gonna put the tent. Call those ones widowmakers. Solution is just to take it down. We're gonna need some firewood tonight. This tree would supply more than enough. So I think the first thing we'll do is take out the saw and get to work. Yeah, this is pretty sketchy. There we go. Timber. We'll cut into it here, but I suspect it's going to be pretty spongy. A little bit rotted, but we won't know for sure until we get through it. It's pretty spongy in the middle. I think it'll be all right, but definitely was hoping for a little bit more solid than that. So good news, I cut into the log a little higher up. Still a little spongy on the outside, but solid through the middle. This is called a freestanding dome tent. It's a two-person tent. It's much lighter than the typical winter tents that we use. So if you're going on like a long excursion or you know, you're hiking in somewhere pretty significant and didn't have like a snowmobile, you'd want to use something like this. Like I'm pretty sure it weighs less than 10 pounds. You know what? It's pretty big in here. So you'll notice that there is currently no floor in here. I do have it on order, so next time you see me in this tent, it'll likely be with the floor. But that's why I brought the foam pads, so just to lay something down to help insulate from the cold ground. Sweet. Here's a setup from bed. I'm actually thinking you could probably comfortably fit 3 people in here with the stove. It's nice. I'm excited to see how warm this thing stays, because tonight is supposed to be getting down, I think it said minus 12 Celsius. For my American friends, that's about 10-ish Freedom units. All right, well, we got a little bit more wood processing to get through, and I'm excited to start that fire. I need a chainsaw. Well, ended up finding another tree, a smaller tree, smaller in diameter, and in the time it took me to process pretty much the entire thing, I probably would have got one more cut of the big log. This stuff is dry as it gets. The stove is a little bit shorter than the one we typically use, so I'm a little worried that some of the logs that I cut might not actually fit. So it's a little bit concerning, especially going into the night when you have to refill it. You don't really want to be going back outside and sawing wood at 4 in the morning when it's like negative 12 below. So now that the door's closed, you could really start to feel the heat. It's nice. Finally, time for a beverage. I forgot how hard of a job it was to harvest enough firewood just for one night. For an actual trip, whew, it's a lot of work. Cheers. So earlier in the video, when I was headed out and I mentioned the importance of being safe on the ice and how, I kind of had been in a tough situation. I'll tell you the story. So it was New Year's Day of 2021, 3 years ago. It's crazy that it feels like it was yesterday, but I'd been ice fishing with my friend all day. We were fishing on 12 inches of clear ice, so that's plenty for me to be comfortable with. And we didn't actually run into the trouble until we were packed up and we were walking back to our car. It's funny, like this part's a little bit foggy for me still, and I just remember like all of a sudden we were in the water, like through the ice. I was lucky that, I basically am a twig and I caught myself on the ice like this, pretty much from like my waist down got soaking wet, maybe up to my belly button, but I was able to catch myself and crawl out. My friend actually fully submerged and was up to like holding onto the ice like this with his head and his arms up on the ice. For the first 10-15 minutes we tried to get him out, just myself. In our situation, the ice was glare. It's almost like a Zamboni had just come and put a fresh coat on. It was slick ice with no snow on top. So trying to get him out, if I were to have grabbed him and pull, it just pulled me closer to the hole and the sketchy ice. Crazy enough, there's actually a drone video of all of this, and I'll overlay some of it as I tell the story, but in the video you'll see how much of a big area all the broken ice, because we had tried hard as we could to get him out ourselves. Like I said, 10 to 15 minutes, I realized that, holy shit, I'm not going to be able to get him out. That was probably the most terrifying realization of my entire life. Luckily, my phone in my pocket, which was soaking wet, was able to make a call. I called 911, and it was crazy. Within 10 minutes, there was like 30 police cars, and you can see them coming down the lake. The issue is the cops aren't trained with ice rescue, so we had to wait for the volunteer fire department to show up, and we were in a pretty rural area. So I held on to my buddy for an hour to an hour and 15 minutes was the length of this whole ordeal. The fire department eventually did get there. They came out with this kind of dinghy device that they threw over top of my pal, and it took a lot to heave him out because of how glare the ice was, but eventually they got him out, and they took him to the hospital. And this part's really unbelievable. He, after being in the ice for well over an hour, they took him to the hospital, and within I think like 6 hours they released him to go home. Anyways, that's my PSA to be safe on the ice. As cliche as this might sound, if it happened to me, it could happen to you. You don't want to be there. Just do your best to prevent it and be safe out there. Oh, perfect fit. Tonight I'm guess it's like a pizza / calzone. I don't really know yet. I'm gonna use naan bread. Just gonna go with it. Gonna toast the bread, put a bunch of cheese and ingredients in there, and if it folds together nicely, then it'll be a calzone, and if it doesn't, then it'll be a pizza. Well, I guess we'll start by crisping up our pepperonis. Oh yeah. Try to crisp up the naan bread a little bit. Oh, that is looking mint. Pizza sauce. Lots of it. Might as well have some acid reflux while we're out here. Put our pepperonis back on. These are green peppers I cut at home. Mushrooms. And mozzarella. Lots of it. Oh, beautiful. Okay, that's not bad. I actually planned on eating 2 of these, but I didn't realize they were going to be this big. held together pretty well. Oh, that's looking pretty decent. Look how thick it is, though. Well, I'm gonna put the second one on hold because I don't know if I'm gonna be needing that or not. Cheers. You know what? That ain't too bad. Yeah, so I don't know if this technically qualifies as a calzone or if it's just a folded pizza. But whatever it is, it's pretty tasty. It's like 8.2 out of 10. Could I eat another one? Hell yeah. That was so good. Do I need it? Probably don't. Snow is definitely coming down tonight. Heavy. It's about time. Well, we just got back from outside. I was getting a little worried that my pile of wood wasn't going to be enough to get through the night, so we gathered the strength to saw off 3 more chunks of that original piece. And because we have no Chester here tonight, I thought it made sense to wear my new shirt. Be the person your dog thinks you are. It's kind of funny, but I think there's some truth to that. If everyone was the person that the dog thought they were, the world would be a much nicer place. On that note, I'm gonna get in bed, get all cozy, and I'll see you guys in the morning. Good night.
Good morning, everybody. Definitely got pretty cold last night. It's currently minus 13 outside and a toasty 21 degrees in here. Decent sleep overall. The wind was absolutely howling and I could feel it on my neck, so I wasn't sure what was going on with that. I thought it was coming up through the gaps in the floor, but I didn't realize until this morning that I had this vent open right here, right behind my head, and there's just wind coming from that direction right down my sleeping bag.
So this stove also has this element that's removable, so it would make boiling water a whole lot faster if it fits. Guess that works. That's like the perfect fit.
So you can hear that the percolator is percolating. That means the water's boiling. It took about maybe just over 5 minutes to boil.
So this lake actually does have fish in it. It has perch and a largemouth bass. And the plan was originally to ice fish for the first time this year and, you know, scratch the itch, as they say. But honestly, I'm not convinced that sitting in the freezing cold with the heavy wind is worth catching a 6-inch perch. So I think we'll save this for another day. It's much nicer in here. We are out of here. I am frozen. Made it back in one piece, frozen, but in one piece. Thank you guys so much for watching this one. I hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you in the next one.